A sealed steel crate arrives under floodlights, rain hammering the dock like a warning drum. Heavy machinery nudges it forward with the casual force used for cargo, not living things. The crate shakes once, then goes still, as if something inside is listening. Even before the park opens, the island feels like it is testing the people who claim to own it. Muldoon steps into the rain and turns the dock into a controlled operation with pure will. His voice cuts through the storm, and every instruction is clipped and precise. The crate jolts at the wrong moment, and the crew hesitates just long enough for disaster to happen. Someone dies in seconds, and the night swallows the screams. Muldoon does not look away because he already knows this park will demand blood for its miracles. Joffrey approaches the crate as if he can make danger obey procedure. The storm turns everything slick and the metal surfaces feel too cold to touch. He checks the latch line with shaking focus, trying to ignore the sense of breath behind steel. The crate gives a hard, sudden rattle that feels intentional. Joffrey flinches, then steadies himself, because pride is the last thing he has before fear takes over. After the incident, the dock looks normal again from a distance, which is the most disturbing part. The crate sits quiet under the lights as if nothing happened, as if the island didn't just take its first payment. Rain washes footprints into nothing and turns the concrete into a mirror. The park's people will file reports and make promises. The island will keep its secrets and wait for the next mistake. Gennaro arrives at an amber mine already thinking in contracts and liability. He watches rough extraction work and feels the gap between risk and marketing widen. A new sample is mentioned, and everyone around him brightens like gamblers spotting a winning hand. Gennaro forces himself to stay skeptical, but even he feels the pull of possibility. The smallest relic here could bankroll the entire dream or bury it. Under a bright lamp, an insect trapped in amber becomes a time capsule and a weapon. The tiny body looks harmless until the idea behind it lands. Blood, copied, rewritten into living animals. The park's miracle begins in something smaller than a thumb. Nobody can see the future in that amber, but the future is already moving. A single preserved bite mark becomes the hinge of everything that follows. On a quiet dig site, bones emerge from earth like a message written in stone. Wind moves across the tents and makes the whole place feel temporary. This work is slow and honest, built on patience instead of spectacle. The people here respect what time buried. Soon they will be asked to respect what time has been dragged back. Grant turns a lesson into a warning, describing raptors with a calm that makes them sound inevitable. He gestures at shapes and spacing, explaining how intelligence changes a hunt. The facts scare him more than he shows. He has spent his life studying the dead, not negotiating with the living. When the invitation to the island comes, it feels like the past reaching up to grab his wrist. Ellie catalogs samples with efficient hands, watching the sky darken over the dig. She teases Grant, but her eyes stay practical, measuring what could go wrong next. The work here is grounded and real, and that grounding matters to her. The island offer sounds like a circus wrapped in science. Ellie agrees anyway, because curiosity is part of who she is. She will regret the ease of this moment later. Hammond arrives like a magician who believes his own trick. He offers champagne and a promise so big it sounds like a lie on purpose. He wants endorsement and awe, not questions. Grant and Ellie feel the hook under the charm, yet the idea is irresistible. Hammond smiles wider because he knows wonder can buy silence. A small plane cuts over open water toward a green island wrapped in haze. The ocean below looks calm, but the clouds ahead look like a bruise spreading across the sky. The destination feels remote on purpose, built to keep eyes away. As the plane lowers, the island's jungle canopy fills the window like a living wall. The park is waiting with its gates open and its consequences loaded. The first true reveal is not a roar, but a slow, graceful movement near water. A brachiosaurus rises above the trees like a walking monument, steam and mist drifting around it. The scene feels holy for a heartbeat, as if the island is offering a gift. Then the second thought arrives. Nothing this large should be here. Wonder becomes dread the moment the mind catches up. Grant cannot stop staring because his entire career was built on absence. He watches the animal's weight and breath like proof can disappear if he blinks. Awe hits first, then the fear of what else the park rebuilt. He realizes fences are not the same as control. The island is not a museum, it is a living argument. Grant's silence says more than any speech. Across a misty meadow, Parasaurolophus drift in a loose herd, their crests cutting the fog like curved sails. Their calls roll through the trees in low, resonant tones that make the park feel ancient instead of new. The beauty is real, and that makes the lie more dangerous. The island looks peaceful right up until the moment it decides not to be. Even the calm scenes feel like they are being watched. Wu presents the science with a calm confidence that makes miracles feel routine. He talks about extraction, replication, and tidy boundaries, as if nature is a file you can copy. The lab is spotless, humming with machines that never doubt themselves. Grant and Ellie listen, impressed and unsettled by equal measure. The park's success depends on belief and control, and Wu sells that belief perfectly. A microscope lens lowers toward Amber like an eye peering into stolen time. Fine tools and glass vials sit in perfect order, implying precision and safety. The process looks clean, almost gentle, and that's the trick. Something profound is happening in silence, old blood becoming new life. The park treats this like manufacturing. The island will treat it like provocation. The visitor center feels like a cathedral built for extinct gods. A massive skeleton towers over polished floors, turning history into decoration and warning at once. Glass cases and glossy displays try to make danger look educational. Everything is designed to dazzle and soothe. Outside those walls, the jungle presses close, patient and unimpressed. Malcolm turns wonder into a confrontation with a smile that dares anyone to disagree. He says complex systems don't stay contained just because rich people want them to. His words land like insults in a room built for celebration. Grant hears the logic and feels his unease sharpen into clarity. Hammond tries to outsmile the warning, but reality is not impressed by optimism. Hammond answers criticism with charm and numbers as if confidence can seal every crack. He talks about safety like it is guaranteed by intention alone. In his mind, the park is a gift to the world and a legacy to protect. The problem is that legacy can become obsession. The island doesn't care about dreams, it only cares about what happens when fences fail. In the hatchery, warmth and glass create the illusion of a controlled birth. A shell breaks and a baby raptor pushes into the light, already alert, already searching. The small head turns with focus that feels too sharp for something newly born. The room is clean, but the creature's gaze feels unowned. The park calls this success. Nature calls it a beginning. Harding kneels beside a massive triceratops and tries to keep his voice steady. The animal's sheer size makes the scene feel less like a park and more like an ancient battlefield between body and biology. Harding knows medicine can treat symptoms, but not hubris. The illness is not dramatic, yet it feels like the park's first honest consequence. Everyone wants predators and thrills, but this quiet weakness is more unsettling. The island is reminding them that control is a story they tell themselves. Ellie studies the paddock and feels the moral weight settle in her chest. The animal's breath and heat make the park's claims feel smaller and meaner. She thinks about the line between discovery and exploitation and how easily it gets crossed when money is involved. Hammond calls it progress. Malcolm calls it inevitability. Ellie calls it responsibility. The storm clouds returning over the trees feel like punctuation. Whatever happens next, she knows the island will not forgive arrogance. The storm arrives like a verdict, bending palms and turning the roads into slick ribbons. Rain hammers signs and roof panels, making the park feel suddenly fragile. Power lines hum with strain and the jungle looks darker, closer. The island seems to enjoy bad weather, as if it was built for it. This is the moment the park stops being a showcase and becomes a survival test. Arnold watches alerts stack up on the monitors like a rising tide. He trusts systems, but he distrusts the people who oversell them. The storm turns every sensor into noise and every fix into a gamble. Hammond demands reassurance, and Arnold gives only the truth he can prove. Somewhere in the park, a boundary is weakening. In a place like this, a single failure is never just one failure. Nedry sits alone in the glow of screens, resentment thick as humidity. He tells himself he is only taking what he deserves, not breaking anything important. His fingers move with practiced certainty, and the system obeys like it always has. That obedience is the danger. It makes betrayal easy. Outside, the storm covers sound and movement, hiding the exact moment he turns the park against itself. Along the perimeter, fence lights blink in an uneasy rhythm like a heart that can't keep time. Rain turns the ground into a reflective sheet, making the posts look doubled and distorted. The hum of power wavers, then returns, then wavers again. This is what losing control looks like before anyone admits it. The island doesn't roar yet, it simply loosens the locks. On a muddy service road, a Dilophosaurus appears like a joke with teeth. Small and strangely confident, it tilts its head, studying the world with curiosity that feels too intelligent. Rain runs off its frill, and the jungle behind it swallows light. The park promised predictable exhibits. The island offers unpredictability with a pulse. Somewhere nearby, a man's greed is driving him deeper into the wrong place. Nedry drives through sheets of rain, convinced he can outrun consequences. The road is slick and visibility is nearly gone, but panic makes him press forward anyway. He grips the wheel and curses at the island like it's a rival, not a trap. Every turn feels narrower, every second more expensive. He doesn't realize the park has already begun correcting his arrogance. Tour vehicles sit stalled on a dark road, headlights trapped in a wall of rain. The jungle presses close on both sides, loud with unseen movement. The fence nearby hums with uncertain power, an anxious whisper in the storm. Inside the cars, fear grows in the silence between thunderclaps. This is where the park stops being a ride and becomes a cage. A Tyrannosaurus steps into the headlights like a moving cliff, water rippling around its foot. Its breath fogs the air, turning the road into a cold, trembling stage. The fence behind it feels irrelevant, a prop in the wrong story. The storm makes everything louder and harder to understand, except the one truth that matters. Containment is over. From here on, every decision is survival. Lex clutches a flashlight like it can carve safety out of darkness. The rain on the window turns the outside world into warped shapes and sudden shadows. She tries to stay quiet, but fear makes every breath feel loud. The car trembles, and the sound of something massive moving nearby steals her ability to think. Childhood shrinks fast when the night gets this big. Tim grips the seatbelt strap until his knuckles ache, staring at rain lines crawling down the glass. He tries to be brave in the way kids are brave, by staying still and hoping stillness is invisible. The car rocks again, and his stomach drops with it. He listens for adults and hears only thunder and animal breath. The park promised adventure. Tim learns what terror feels like when it is inches away. Malcolm steps into the open with a flare, turning himself into the loudest point in the storm. He tries to pull the predator's attention away from the cars, and for a moment the plan feels almost clever. The rain makes the flare hiss and spit, painting the road in angry light. His smile fades when the ground trembles closer than expected. Theory becomes reality in one heartbeat. Malcolm keeps moving because stopping would mean being erased. Grant moves through the rain with a flare, forcing his fear into a narrow channel of focus. He is not trying to win. He is trying to buy seconds for two kids who can't run fast enough. Every step in the mud feels like a gamble, and the flare's light makes shadows jump. He realizes he is living inside the exact warning he once gave as a lecture. When he speaks, his voice is steady on purpose. The park has turned him from scientist into guardian. After the road chaos, the park's infrastructure becomes the next enemy. A broken fence line ends at a cliff, cables dangling into darkness like wet ropes. Rain makes the metal shine and makes the drop feel endless. The world below is a deep, unseen space that swallows light. Survival now means trusting the same systems that just failed them. The island doesn't need more predators when gravity can finish the job. Grant takes the first descent because leadership is just moving when others freeze. His hands clamp the cable and his body lowers into the rain-dark drop with controlled panic. He forces his breath into a slow rhythm, knowing fear can make fingers slip. He refuses to look down for too long. Above him, thunder rolls like applause for the island. Below him, the jungle waits without mercy. Later, Lex sits at a computer terminal with shaking hands and a face set in stubborn focus. The adults around her are out of options, so the child becomes the solution. She watches a progress bar crawl forward like a heartbeat returning. Every second feels stolen from something hunting in the corridors. When the system finally responds, relief arrives and vanishes at once, replaced by the next problem. Lex keeps typing anyway because fear is not allowed to stop her now. A herd of Gallimimus erupts across an open plain in a single panicked motion, legs blurring through wet grass. The stampede looks like freedom until you recognize it as fear with direction. The island is pushing everything into motion, reshuffling the board. Stormlight flickers across the runners like a warning signal. When prey runs like this, something bigger is nearby. The park's showcase has become a wild ecosystem again. In the grand lobby, broken glass and rainwater turn polished floors into dark mirrors. Raptors appear as silent shapes between columns, too quick to track for long. Then a Tyrannosaurus silhouette fills the far end of the space, massive enough to make the skeleton overhead feel small. The moment is less a rescue than a collision of forces the park never truly controlled. The building shudders with impacts and echoes, and the survivors run on pure instinct. The island writes its own ending, indifferent to human plans. At dawn, the helicopter lifts away and the island shrinks into mist and green. The air feels cleaner above the canopy, but the fear doesn't rise with them. It stays in their bodies. Hammond looks older without saying a word, as if his dream finally weighed what it cost. Grant and Ellie carry the same knowledge. Life cannot be boxed and sold without consequences. Malcolm's warning hangs in the quiet like smoke after lightning. The park closes, but the idea that it was possible will haunt everyone who survived it.